Hi, can you hear me 1 minute?
Yeah, of course. I'm just gonna. Okay, so Bruce Buffalo. I want to start by saying hello and thanking you so much for putting aside the time. I know you're busy with your kids and with your family and obviously all of your endeavors in the community. And man, I've watched like a lot of your the things that you can find on YouTube about your project, and I just have like the deepest respect for you. And what I want to create in this interview is just like raising awareness around, you know, this revolution that you are. And I just want to hear your story and hear like what people can do when they find out about things, and that's it. I just want to open up a dialogue with you and talk about your vision. Like, what does your vision entail, and what are you working with?
I just want to turn get my headset on here real quick. Okay.
There you go.
My 2-year-old is just into everything.
Yeah, I have a 2-year-old that's also into everything. We should have a play date where we just try to save things.
Okay. Hopefully it discovers. But for now. Okay, so about me, I currently live on the Maskwacis Reserve in Maskwacis, Alberta. How I first started was last year. I felt the need for, something on the community-wide level, as there's absolutely nothing for a lot of our low income and families who really can't afford to access the internet to provide that service as a basic service in the community. So that's how I thought I could, do something for the community rather than just, just sitting around, because I've been unemployed for the past like 3 years now.
Yeah.
My background is in construction, so there's not really much to do out here. So I decided, I might as well do something, worthwhile with my time, and then I just started doing the Wi-Fi networking, because I've always kind of did it at home and kind of played around with it. So
how did you learn it? Like, did you?
I just from having routers at home that you can connect to wireless networks to one, and kind of extend it that way. And then just everything I've learned so far has pretty much been self-taught. I have no IT or networking background at all, so.
That's incredible. Okay, so I just want to get the status. Okay, so on your reserve, can you get like a big name internet? Like, are they expecting every single person on the reserve to like pay like $100 user fee every month to have their own Wi-Fi, or is it even available?
We don't have any actual infrastructure, so to speak, like what you have access to. Like, you can get a TELUS or a Shaw, or like a Bell,
right?
We don't have that. What we have is the wireless internet service providers, which actually provide service from the outside kind of in.
So is that like using data then? That's like cellular?
there's a lot of cellular, plus the how you get the internet is you put a little device on top of your roof, and it gets a wireless internet signal from a tower. So like, there's nothing.
And what would typically be like the fee that they would want to charge every home for that service?
Well, for one, I know it's $100 to for the equipment deposit and for someone to come out. Plus, you actually need to have a residence. You'll need a credit card with a bank account to actually activate the service before you even use it, right? So they make sure you can pay it. But a lot of people, the housing shortage is quite real. So there's, you need to have a house to begin with to actually have service. So for those who don't own houses or relatives.
How many people live in your community?
About 16,000.
What?
Yeah, for all 4 reserves. Yeah, I live in Ermineskin Reserve, and I think the number was 4,000 or 5,000.
Holy shit! And okay, so you guys are north of Edmonton, obviously.
No, we're south, 45 minutes south.
You are in between of Calgary and Edmonton, and this is happening?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we're to put it this way, we're 15 minutes north of Wetaskiwin and then another 16 minutes south of Ponoka, and both are fiber towns.
So there was something that you said that, like, seriously, well, for one, I need to admit, like, when you were at that conference and you were like so amazed by people's receptivity, like, I literally burst out fucking crying. Like, you just thought that you would just sit in the back and kind of like soak up info, and you were pretty sure that all these, like, you know, people in the inner city wearing their collars, they like weren't going to pay attention to you for any reason, and they did. And you learned some things, and you've taken your project even further. The other thing that I heard you say, Bruce, that I think is something that I would like to keep talking about over time is this digital divide. And the digital divide, like, you know, I got into contact with you firstly when we were doing the Vigil of Purpose, because I was not open to celebrating Canada's 150th birthday. I don't think we have much to celebrate at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
So me and my girlfriends got together with our kids, and we drove across BC and Alberta, and we lit a candle every day at 8:00, and we honored, you know, the murdered and missing Indigenous women of, you know, the Highway of Tears, Northern BC, and all across Canada, for real. That to me is the symptom of colonization. Now we have an opportunity to bring all kinds of opportunities to all of Canada. And like, here we go, leaving First Nations reserves behind again, right? Like, we just keep doing it, right? And now we drove the Highway of Tears on Canada Day, because that's like, you and I have a lot in common. We're like Avenger revolutionaries, right? Where it's like, there's just something not right here, right? And it doesn't matter if everybody pays attention, I'm paying attention, right? And we drove that Highway of Tears, and you know what? There's no cell phone service. Like, no cell phone service, no call boxes. So and I talked to people in the communities, and I said, like, everybody has this thing where the women are prostituting. And I'm like, they're not. They're going to like AA meetings, craft bazaars, meetings. Like, they're commuting. They don't have a driver's license in a car, because that's a ridiculous expense. And, you know, it's a highway, right? And there's so, like, it didn't take me long to figure out what was going on. And it's simply like no access to services, right? Where it's like, okay, so if some trucker drops me off in the middle that I've just hitchhiked with because I'm going to get groceries for my kids, and he drops me off at the wrong spot along the highway, and I have to walk like 2 miles in the dark, right? Never mind psycho killers that are all probably going up there because nobody's doing anything about it. Bears.
Yeah, the wildlife and
Bears, forest, fast-flowing rivers, right? It's like it doesn't take people long to go missing because we're not paying attention, right? Like even the highway between here and Edmonton has all kinds of cameras, right? The fact that, and so this was the discussion of me and my girlfriends, you know, like, is that this is no different than clean water. And people say like, oh, internet isn't a requirement. Well, I'm sorry, friends, but today it is. Today it is. If you can't receive an email, you don't get the job. If you can't receive a phone call, you don't get the job, right? It's like, what is everybody supposed to crowd around a phone and like, you know, like as though it's like prison, you know, getting services to their community? Like, come on. Honestly, we just installed a piece of art outside of Calgary, $500,000. Piece of art that's like, I mean, I don't want to disrespect artists. However, what would you do with $500,000, Bruce?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I've seen that
piece of art.
Yeah, and it, you know, a lot of people weren't happy because, you know, they didn't consult with, you know, the indigenous people who actually, you know, live in the area.
Oh,
what
yeah.
they thought was appropriate, right?
Or why not give them the work?
Yeah, or they could have did, you know, they could probably did a better job, you know, something that was heartfelt and, you know, actually representative, you know, the people and in the area.
Okay. What have you done and what are you doing and how can people help your community get the frick online? Like, what do you need? Do you need supplies? You need like more entry points? Like, what are we looking at?
Yeah, we would love to expand to, you know, provide more, another point of presence in the community so we can expand. Right now, I'm at my limit. Right now, I have 4 points with 4 Wi-Fi sites that average about 268 users per day.
Bruce.
Yeah.
You're making like a huge difference.
Yeah. We've gotten donations from businesses that SwiftFox.net and then VelocityNetworks.ca out of southern Alberta that have donated a bunch of point-to-point equipment. And without that, we couldn't have, you know, crafted the network like how it is. So right now, I've got like a ton of equipment sitting in my basement.
Because you're paying $400 a month for these 4 points?
No, the 4 points, I did a GoFundMe to raise the funds to buy tools, equipment, pay for the service for a year so that it remained free and consistent. Yeah, but the access points I bought myself, but the point-to-point equipment was donated.
Wow. Okay, so what do you think it's going to take to get 16,000 people online? How many people do we have online so far? They're using a user point. So they're coming to a point and there's like 270 users a day at each point?
For spread out through 4 access points.
Okay, so to cover your entire community, how many more points do you need? And do people have it in their homes or do they have to go like stand behind that barn you were showing us?
Well, people have it in their homes.
Okay, good.
People who can afford it, but really there's nothing on a community-wide level for like
there's no like, yeah, like us, we can go to the library and use the Wi-Fi. We can go to, you know, a hotel lobby and use the Wi-Fi, right? Like lots of places have it.
Yeah, there's you know, there's a local business that has like Subway, but it has the sign on where you have to sign on by SMS, Facebook, and some other way, and that's really it's not free. When you have to do that and give up personal information to use the internet, then that's not free.
Yeah, you're right.
What's free is, you know, you accept the terms of service, you connect, and that's free.
Right.
Yeah, because that's how my system works.
Uncle Leroy, that's your Uncle Leroy? Or is that's your Uncle Leroy?
Yeah.
And he had mentioned something like, well, now that I have the internet, it's like, I'm not saying that it's a cure for alcoholism. I'm just saying like, you know, it's a big deal, you know?
it gives them an option to do other things other than, focus on, if he wants to go drinking or not, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, so now he's, on the internet all the time, and, he
He's
watches a lot of
funny.
YouTube videos, yeah, and, reads up on the news, and then, because he doesn't have satellite, or, the TV he does get is
Right.
like from an antenna, you get, just kind
Gee.
of, yeah. So, the internet means a lot to him, and then, he's quite grateful for everything I've done, and, I'm grateful to him. We both help each other, right? I give him the internet, and, he gives me a place to put my equipment to, rebroadcast it into the community.
This is okay. Tell me about your community. What are you guys dealing with? Like, obviously, addiction, I'm hearing, is a situation. I've read, like, obviously, high suicide rates is another
Yeah,
issue.
yeah.
Tell
The
me
youth
more. What's going on?
suicide rate is pretty high. We've had just another two in the past 2 weeks that were both under 18.
Ugh.
Um, they it's really touchy, but what we want to do is to be able to provide a community hub for links to services for suicide prevention, people who you can talk to,
Oh,
how to deal with these sort of issues as a youth. But unfortunately right now I'm only in the town site areas, and I'm not. There's a big country we have, and a lot of people are out in the country, and they're really isolated, and they really don't have much to do, right? We are in the town sites where there's the most people concentrated in areas, so we can reach as many. The town sites got a lot of issues, a lot of gangs, a lot of drinking, a lot of drugs. Unemployment is really high, so it's people, they feel hopeless. They don't have no hope to do anything positive in the community because there's nothing, no reinforcement that if you want to do something like that, there's options, there's supports. It's really limited, and a lot of people, they just feel discouraged, and they feel like stuff doesn't ever change out here, and you're never going to get anywhere by living on the reserve. So a
well,
lot of
and then when you go into the city, what happens? Like, obviously, you have people leaving the reserve to come live in the city, and like that's something that you did at some point. Can you tell me about that? Like, when you come into the city, then what? Like, where do people go when they actually come off the reserve, go into the city, and then what's there for them?
well, it depends on what they want to do. Like the easiest way would be for someone just to go on welfare in the city to get a place right away if they have children, right?
Right.
And then they can get an income, get a place, get started like that. But as singles, you're most likely going to stay at a shelter or on the streets or with family as soon as you go into Edmonton,
Right.
because they don't help singles out on social assistance anymore. So, it's really tough. I know my Uncle Leroy, when he was in the city, he kind of just slept in the river valley and collected bottles, and, he did pretty fine, but, he didn't really want to sleep at the shelters because they weren't safe. So,
Like, I have to believe that, like, I know that you have like an entrepreneurial spirit, and I know that you're like, you can see what's right and good. And I was watching you give the Wi-Fi code to those girls, and like there's like a real sense of like heart with you. Like, that you're doing a good thing. That access to the internet is not the be all and end all for your community. However, it's a huge global window to open for your community. And I want to get back. I'm kind of like a brass tacks girl, right? Like, I'm kind of like, hey, what do we do, right? Because me and 10 of my friends just bought a Starbucks coffee, and instead we could have like fired up internet for another 1,000 people. So like, what's it going to take? How can we get the news out there that Wi-Fi should be for everybody? And like, I'm not going to wait for the government. I don't wait for the government for anything, right? Like, I did a project collecting hampers for the people that were fleeing Fort Mac, right? And it was like, I just said, yo, I'm the spot, like, bring stuff to me kind of thing. So like, if we did something like that up your way, like, what would we bring? What could we contribute? Like, how can we like help today?
yeah. Well, what in that sense we could, get another access point going which means I would have to sign up another.
Grab her, that's totally fine. I can even like pause it or whatever.
Yeah, the little baby just doing her thing.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, with that we can use a get another service under my name.
Okay.
And then it's 2-year contract, and then the first year is $1,300 to prepaid at the 25 megabits, 25 down, 1 up, and 300 gigs a month. Because that's what my first one is doing. So everybody's got to share 25 megabits down and 1 up and 300 gigs of data. So that's how much data I give every month for free.
And then at some point you guys just run out.
Yeah, once it runs out, it just gets slow until the next billing cycle.
Okay. Okay. So 1 point is going to cost us $1,300 a year.
Yeah.
Or what about, like, is it possible for big companies to come in there, or would you even want that?
Well, I've investigated big companies come in, and I haven't really had any traction in that. They see it as providing services to a community who really doesn't pay its bills, so they don't really invest in infrastructure in a community like a First Nation. That's why, with my system, that's what it kind of alleviates.
Okay. $1,300 a year per point. How many points do you want to do it like DIY?
We could possibly do another 3 to get most of the community, and then the Wi-Fi access points are about $160 per. So possibly another 24, 36 just to be safe.
Right.
Just to connect as many points as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, the technology is getting better, so we can do about 600 to 700 feet per access point in a 360-degree area. So that's, maybe 10 homes per access point.
What about like those outlying areas that you're talking about? Because like really, if somebody wanted like internet, they could, in the township, they could get to a spot. Are you wanting to put one out like where these people are like really, really isolated? Or is that too far?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. A lot of people have been asking me if I'm going to move to the country, right? We could do like a point-to-point in the country, and then just light up a stretch of road.
Right.
So that if somebody's walking, at least you'll be able to, use Wi-Fi on the stretch of road. Yeah, I have the...
Because people have tons of phones on the reserve, right? That's what I'm understanding. They have tons of phones, no data, no phone access.
Yeah.
They have a phone that will connect to Wi-Fi.
Yeah. The cellular services out here are really bad.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
So is there like a phone company that has landlines out there, like that they're like installed in the home still?
Well, they have the old, I don't know if you remember AGT.
Yeah.
Yeah, the all the like telephone things are AGT. That's how old it is.
Okay. So that's insane. So are you saying $3,600? $3,600 to get 3 points up and running?
Yeah, 36 for the 3 different access point, like the actual internet.
So that's a year of internet plus the setup.
Plus the equipment. Yeah, I have pretty much all the point-to-point equipment.
Okay.
It just would be getting the actual Wi-Fi access points, because I'm out of Wi-Fi access points. I've deployed all of them into the community, but I do have a bunch of point-to-point gear.
Okay. I think we should fundraise again.
All right. Sounds good.
What do you think?
Yeah, I'd love to do that.
Okay. So we will, my friend Tracy, she's also doing this with me. We're interviewing somebody every day, Bruce, that's like making a difference in their community. And we're just like wanting to come together, like simple. Like come together with First Nations, come together with moms that are at home, come together. There's nothing bad about coming together. right? So it's kind of like if we put together something, I mean, you're close to me. Like I thought that you were way up by Lac La Biche, but that's where you went to school. That's where you went to that conference, right?
Yeah, it was in Lac La Biche.
Yeah, because I couldn't figure out actually watching the Al Jazeera one. I couldn't really, I was listening for where you were and I knew it was somewhere in the middle of Alberta, but I was thinking like up close to Grand Prairie. So you're like 2.5 hours from me.
Yeah, yeah. I will be in Banff for November 8th and 9th, speaking at the Siberia Summit too. So
Really? What's
yeah,
that about?
it's just they like the work that I've done for the community, and they just want to have me as a panel speaker.
Totally.
So there'll be a lot of the big companies there and a lot of the industry sort of people there. So yeah, I'll be there to do some more speaking.
Amazing. Okay, sweet. Yeah, well, we want to support you. Like, I reached out to you before the vigil because I was like, what's this guy doing? Like, this guy seems like a bit of a revolutionary. How did those people, how did you get noticed for and get, like, the company came and made a documentary about you?
Well, they actually got in contact with me because they were looking to do a documentary on a Canadian First Nations issue
Right?
that heartfelt and would benefit us and then benefit me, right?
Yeah.
So they got in contact with me and then wanted it to come out and do some filming, and I was like, yeah, I was totally open to it, and then it just kind of took off from there. So
Yeah.
I've had no real, I'd say, interest in actually doing anything local because I don't like the local news at all. Like,
No, we are the new local news
yeah,
because we're tired of the bullshit that gets covered. Like, we believe at Heart Connect Media that good things are happening. Good things are happening. People are waking up. People are coming together. Things are getting done. Like, let's put our money where our mouth is. You know what I mean? And like, let's actually like meet up, have a fundraiser, do a thing, like get another GoFundMe going and like, get some more internet points. Like, you can't lose by like connecting people in
yeah,
our opinion.
yeah,
In our opinion. So the not-for-profit that you're talking about, you didn't actually register like a government not-for-profit. You're talking about like a GoFundMe, as in every penny that you send towards, Bruce Buffalo, Broadband Bruce project, will go to this project. Like, you're not taking a salary or like whatever you're saying, like, whatever you need to say.
yeah. All the money from my last GoFundMe went to buy equipment, tools, so I could do my job safer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A ladder on a roof, Bruce. A ladder on your sister's roof. You're like, if I don't fall off my sister's roof first, you guys will have Wi-Fi by noon. Like where do you even get this spirit? Like, where does this even come from?
It's just, actually, living the life and, being grateful and appreciative for what I have and, what everything I do pretty much, I know it's making a difference. So, I'm just going to do it.
What was your childhood like? Like, what did you grow up with?
I grew up pretty, I started out on the reserve and then, I remember getting apprehended into child welfare pretty early.
Oh my God.
5, and then I remember from probably like 10 to 13, then going back, and then from like 10 to 13, I was in like a permanent guardianship order. So I got out of child welfare when I was 17. So I was in the system pretty much my whole life.
Wow. Do you are your mom and dad there on that reserve, or do you know?
No, they both passed away. So it's just me and my kids and my siblings.
How old are you?
36.
Wow. Well, if you'll have me, I'd love to be your new friend.
Oh yeah, sure.
And I think that we have a lot in common. Not, we're in different necks of the woods, right? Like, we're in different spaces. Like, I have a 2-year-old, you have a 2-year-old. I believe in you. at some point you'll believe in me, because I think that we can set something up that'll be like fun for everybody and give people an opportunity to contribute to a cause that's opening doors for everybody. That's like opening doors, opening education portals. Like, you guys can go to like Athabasca University like online if you have the internet. You guys can, you know, there's like, you can make phone calls along the roadside.
Yeah, yeah,
With Wi-Fi.
yeah. There's so many, doors that open with internet connectivity these days, and people don't, because I'll refer to some of the comments on my YouTube video, like people saying, "Well, why should internet access be a priority when clean water,
Yeah.
housing, corruption?" But they don't understand. You need internet connectivity for a lot of things these days. You just can't go without it at all.
No.
Apply online, do emails if you want to, use VoIP calls to call long distance without actually paying long distance.
Yeah.
The internet is how you're going to do it.
Totally. Bruce, I want to know your vision. Like, what happens in your community of, 5,000 in your immediate reserve, and then there's 3 other that are adjacent, so a total of 16,000 residents. Like, what's possible for your community when we hook up that internet? Like renegades.
A lot of doors will open. I already have a website that I run alongside, Maskwacisfiber.ca. People can go visit, and just in the works of creating an actual community hub for all the services that can be found in the community, with regards to schooling, education, local band operations, health and wellness, addictions and drugs. Just so it's easier for people to see, because a lot of people, it's easier to just put that information right in front of them.
Yeah.
So they don't have to like search around, and
It's,
I find that
well, it's kind of like at Starbucks. When you go to like log into Starbucks, they tell you like, this is on sale and that's on sale and blah blah blah. Like, if I join your Wi-Fi connection and you can tell me like suicide hotlines, AA meeting online, this, right? Like, local grocery store has extra bread. Like, you're solving like ridiculous problems. You're solving problems that, like, you're solving food problems and social problems and health problems, and like, it doesn't stop. Like, the internet connects you to all information and to people.
Yeah.
Okay, man. We are in business here. I am committed to like helping you raise that money and making the rest of it come together. Like, this is how I was about the vigil. It's just like my heart, like, I can't have it. I'm not going to bed tonight with this the case. Like, let's make a GoFundMe. Let's post it on here and we'll share it around. And hey, do you want to do like 4444? We could raise 4444 for 4 more internet connects, or 3 more, and just shout it out.
Okay, I'll do some numbers, and then
we'll
what's gonna be needed.
Totally.
And then I'll give you some numbers, but it's pretty much gonna be, because my last one was 7,000.
Right.
Yeah, I raised that pretty quickly after my video took off. Yeah.
Well, let's do it again. Right? Like, I don't know. I would like to help you if you'll
Oh yeah.
If you'll have us. So you do all the stuff. What I'm committed to is pumping it out, telling my friends about it, sending my own contribution, and encouraging people to contribute to it. So you set it all up because it's attached to your bank account and blah 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 with GoFundMe. And then you run the numbers, and then tell me what it's going to take. And I don't care if it's 10 or 20 grand. Let's just run at it.
Okay.
Right? Because like, who knows what can happen, right? Like, a few people share it, people talk, people send $50. It happens pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And it would be fun to come up and meet you and just like see your community and see like other things that might be needed around there, or other ways that we could work together, right?
Yeah, yeah. I've had a couple people already come out to visit me to actually come see me in the community.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Perfect. Well, I would love to do that. I mean, I've been following you since I watched the trailer for your documentary, and I've just been like super inspired. Like, you know, we talk about privilege, and you know, absolutely. Like, I have access to everything. There's nothing I don't have access to. You know, and I'm like middle class, 3 kids, you know, common law partnership, like right in the middle of Ogden here in Calgary. And I'm just like, I can access anything. And it's like, honestly, like so humbling for me to pull my head out of the sand or my butt or wherever exactly it is to really understand that there's people that live in Alberta. We are like the richest province in the country. We are the richest province in the country, right? Like we have rich cities like Edmonton and Calgary, and we have oil getting drilled every single day, and we are like working our asses off in Alberta, and we have a community in the middle of it all with no internet? Like, come on. You know, like that's not okay with me. Like it's not okay with me. Especially when there's suicide, especially when there's addictions. You know, people have their political opinions about everything, and you know what I discovered when I did the Vigil of Purpose with Stephanie? Who was a woman that asked me if she could take my course online. She said, can I take your course? And I said, yeah, you have to pay though. And she's like, well, I have nothing. And like, I didn't really get what nothing was, right? Like, I didn't get that like the welfare check shows up and then like you may or may not have minutes for your cell phone so that you can call your kids that you don't get to see. Right? It's just like, I didn't get nothing. I didn't understand what nothing was. And like, I understand now what nothing is. And it's not fair and it's not right. Hello. And the star of the show has arrived. Hi. Little sweetie, like exact same age as mine too. Exact same age as mine. So, you know, I went on this vigil with Stephanie and I visited her home and I learned from her like what nothing is, you know? And, you know, I don't know. I'm just in, that's all.
Yeah, it's, you know, for a lot of people, they, on welfare, like they don't give the amounts of social assistance they do in the big cities, that's for sure. It's not even close. So I know maybe as a single, you probably get about $230 every month for welfare. You know, that's nothing, man. And you're supposed to live on that for 30 days.
No, you're not, actually. And if you are, then you should have services granted to you as a result of the breaking down of the effing system. Like, hello, colonization didn't work. We're going to have to find something else. How about we go back to like what we used to do, like look at each other and trade things. And then we'll use the internet as well. Like, I'm not talking about going back to the beginning of time. I'm talking about let's grow our own food as a small community. Let's trade stuff and we'll have our cell phones so that we can do whatever we need to do about that, you know, and our computers or whatever, right? But like, I feel like we're going like way too fast and in a destructive way. And we're leaving everybody behind. Like, for every billionaire there is in this country, there's, you know, a teenager with a gun to his head. Like, that's it's too far of a spectrum, you know, and it's not okay with me. So, you know, I'm glad to have met you, and I'm really looking forward to contributing to you in any way that we can, and having Heart Connect Media partner with you on opening that global window to the people in your community. Like, deep respect for you, Bruce. Deep respect for you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work. Thank you for who you're being. And, you know, thank you for taking time and trusting me. And yeah, just thank you so much. And we'll post this everywhere. And if you want to do your numbers and get me the GoFundMe link. I'll just share it till I'm blue in the face, and then we can do other stuff too.
Okay, that sounds
Okay.
good.
Okay, man. Thanks so much. Have an awesome day.
You
Enjoy.
too.
It's not snowing up there yet, I'm sure.
No,
We have a little bit of autumn.
Yeah.
We have a little bit of autumn left. Okay, I can't wait to meet you. And yeah, let's do this.
Okay.
Power to the people and internet. Okay. Bye, Bruce.
See you.